Hey Tractor Chasers, we're about to spend the morning with Derek from 5 Points Ag Service out in southern Pennsylvania spreading some lime. I've wanted to get one of these lime spreader trucks that pulls its own tender filmed for a while now and was finally able to make the connection. These trucks are pretty unique to southern Pennsylvania. You see them around all the time. They actually have the spreader on the back of the truck but then pull their own tender to refill themselves. We're going to watch him work spreading some lime, and then we're going to get up into the cab with Derek to find out all about this lime spreading setup. After that, we'll also watch him refill the spreader using his tender trailer. Let's let him get started, and then we'll get up in the cab to find out more. Alright guys, I'm up in the cab with Derek and getting some lime spread on these fields. So Derek, how's it going so far?
It's going pretty good. Beautiful morning out this morning, nice and calm.
Yep. And you really can't have wind with...
Right, so we can run, we push the limits this spring just because I'm kind of behind, but about 10, 12 mile an hour gets to be about the max. Neighbors get grumpy and spread job doesn't look quite appropriate. Yeah, not much of it hits the ground.
Yeah. And so how do you control like the rate that you're putting down? And
yeah, so right now we're putting about a ton down to the acre. The bed itself has a 4-speed transmission, so that kind of varies how fast the augers run and puts it out in the boom. And then the rest of it is pretty much just trying to match your ground speed with the rate. So there's some variables to it, obviously. The different lime actually acts very different. I was surprised how much that does, but calcium versus mag can sometimes... It flows different, let's put it that way.
yeah. And so I was surprised when he told me it's about a 3-hour round trip to fill this up, right?
So we're up in Ole here this morning. I'm pulling out a lime mill, which is probably 35 miles, 40 miles, but till I get down there, loading's pretty quick. Just traffic, I gotta go through Reading, so it's some hills to pull. It just takes time.
Yeah. And so these beds are pretty unique, and it's so how does it match up with like pulling the tender trailer and all that?
Yeah, so this bed's a little bit bigger than most. I can get about 12, 13 ton in the bed and then about 12 ton in the trailer, or basically half the load in the truck, half the load in the trailer. Some guys have smaller beds and then they got to transfer out of their trailer twice, is what I'm told. I don't know that for sure, but that's what some guys said. So yeah, it matches up well. The obvious thing is you're carrying a lot of weight around right when you first transfer or when you're first loaded, but most of the time it's not an issue. Every once in a while it will be, and you got to get a little rope in the front and give you a tug, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah. So when is lime normally spread down here? How's it?
So typically we do, for us as a company, most of the soil sampling gets done in the fall. And as soon as we get those results back, we're going in the fall. And all the lime, I would say, locally here gets done between September and March. Now, obviously, this winter was terrible with all the snow we had on the ground, so we're getting caught up, but we are still a little behind. So typically, we spread in the winter on frozen ground, or in the fall. Try and do as much in the fall as we can when it's still nice and dry, but obviously Mother Nature still trumps everything. We will do some in the summer, like alfalfa, or sometimes after wheat, sometimes some pastures, hay ground, that kind of thing, but typically it's fall, winter application.
Yep. About how many acres can you cover in a day with this?
Well, a lot of that depends on the rate. Some of this is 2 ton of the acre, so I'm getting 12 acres done, 3 loads a day, sometimes 4. So, you know, you might get 50 acres done in a day. If you're only putting a ton down, you can get 100 acres in a day. So it really determines how far you're going from the quarry, how much, what your rate is, how much you're putting down. So,
yeah. About how wide of a path does this spread?
So I'm pretty sure it's 30 feet, 32 feet, something like that. So yeah, you can cover ground. Like, this is pretty good running here where we're at now, long straight rows. You will get on obviously some 3 corners, or the field we were at earlier where it's nothing but corners and you're just chasing your tail going circles. But you know, you get on good running, you can run a load off in 45 minutes. Sometimes it takes 2 hours. It just depends on the conditions or the ground conditions where you're running.
Yeah. And some guys will run like a spreader body, but you guys run the one with the arms on it.
Right. So this is considered dry lime. They do also have damp lime, which we actually, I didn't tell you this, but we have a dry spreader, a Tarrigator, which we do some damp lime. And so that gets more into like prescription stuff. With a truck like this, you can't hardly do zones of prescription correctly, so to speak. So we do some damp lime if guys want prescription stuff done, or we get on a bigger job, and that's typically a spreader truck instead of a boom truck. Like, this stuff here is super fine. You would just be making a dust cloud. You couldn't throw this stuff. You pretty much just got to drop it.
Yeah. I appreciate you having us out today to check out the lime spreader truck. I've always loved seeing these, and so
yeah, when you picked a beautiful morning to come, like we talked about earlier, it's nice and calm and a gorgeous sunny day.
Yeah.
So
I can't ask for much better than this.
Yep, for sure.
Probably the most unique thing about this setup is that it brings its own tender along with it. So only one person has to be in the field. He'll spread his load, refill, spread it again, and then he heads back to refill the entire truck. I was really impressed to learn about how this tender trailer actually works. It doesn't use augers or conveyor belts like you might normally see. It's actually an air floor system that is constantly pushing air up under the lime to reduce the friction so that gravity makes it slide towards the back of the trailer. The back of the trailer has an auger that lifts the lime up and dumps it through the chute into the truck. Derek mentioned that one of the only drawbacks to this system is it does rely on gravity to move the lime to the back of the trailer, and sometimes if you're on a hill, it can be difficult to get the lime to flow as easily as you'd like. But overall, it's a really impressive design with very few mechanical pieces. Now, what you're seeing is something that may not be around in the future. The company that makes these tender and spreader bodies actually stopped making them a few years ago. So who knows if someone will buy the design and keep producing them, or what might happen in the future. The way the lime spreader body works is augers are on the bottom of it, constantly pulling the lime to the back of the truck and dumping it into the boom area. Each boom has augers that bring the lime out to the outside of the booms, with holes along the bottom of the entire boom. So as the lime moves across, it drops through the holes, and to control the rate, you can adjust the size of the openings, which is what he's doing now. I hope you guys love being out in the field with this lime spreading operation in southern Pennsylvania. If you love seeing farm equipment like this in action, please take a minute to subscribe to the Tractor Chasers channel so you don't miss any videos. Thanks for watching.